If you're new to the scene or want to better understand OpenAI's angle and AI in general, this video will bring you up to speed. From the inception of OpenAI in 2015, a non-profit company with no intention of making money, to their recent announcements of generating $1 billion in 2024 or next year. We'll cover it all in this video, so sit back, relax, and get ready to be fully briefed. So Elon Musk was one of the driving forces behind creating OpenAI, the company that brought you ChatGPT. He started the organization in 2015 because he was scared.
So if our intelligence is exceeded, it's unlikely that we will remain in charge of the planet.
Elon Musk recently talked with Tucker Carlson regarding the risks associated with AI. During the discussion, Musk briefly shared the origin of OpenAI. He recounted that in 2014, Google's acquisition of DeepMind established it as the dominant player in the AI field.
At the time, Google had acquired DeepMind, and so Google and DeepMind together had about 3/4 of all the AI talent in the world. They obviously had a tremendous amount of money and more computers than anyone else. So I'm like, okay, we have a unipolar world here, where there's just one company that has close to a monopoly on AI talent and computers, like scaled computing, and the person who's in charge doesn't seem to care about safety.
And to counterbalance this monopoly, he conceived the idea of creating a non-profit, an open source entity that will be the opposite of Google. A for-profit company that does not always share its research and discoveries with the broader world. So on December 11, 2015, they launched the non-profit OpenAI. And keep in mind that the team they brought together was impressive. Besides Elon Musk, they brought on Iya Sutskever, one of the world's experts in machine learning. They brought on Greg Brockman, Stripe's CTO, Sam Altman, the president of Y Combinator, and many more world-class research engineers and scientists. According to the original publication on the website, the founders committed to sponsoring $1 billion to OpenAI in the upcoming years. In 2016, OpenAI was a fledgling startup in the world of AI, still finding its feet and grappling with the challenges of building a new kind of company. The first few months saw the team focused on hiring new full-timers and interns, assembling a team of the best and brightest minds in the field. OpenAI launched its first product in April, OpenAI Gym, in beta form. The tool was designed for others to use and for the company to test its AI tools. OpenAI Gym was a tool that allowed developers to test their programs in a gaming style fashion. So for example, and I'm unsure if this is the actual OpenAI Gym, but for you to understand the idea, here you can see an AI tool trying to park the car in the correct parking spot. So every time the car crashes, it receives a so-called punishment, which is basically just a number in the software that says this is the incorrect behavior. The program learns it should avoid that behavior the next time it tries again. So the AI tool will try again, and again, hundreds of thousands of times, and eventually it learns how to park the car in the correct way. So another video from June 2015 shows the famous Mario game.
You're watching a skilled player play Super Mario World, but this player is not human. It's a computer program I wrote called Mario. This structure of colored lines and blinking boxes is called a neural network. It's a simple mathematical model for how a brain works, but it can produce some very complicated behavior.
So the reason I'm sharing these videos with you is so you get a better understanding of how AI tools are trained. Initially, they don't know what to do, but learn by trial and error. So in the case of Mario, every time it moves to the right, it scores points. Or in other words, the computer program knows this is what it should do. But keep in mind that I'm probably not the best at explaining this. So if you want to dive deeper into the world of machine learning, you could start by watching this this video as many others did before you. So here are a few of the commenters on the Mario video. This video was my first exposure to neural networks when I was in high school. Now I'm a machine learning engineer at Google. This video got me interested in neural networks many years ago, and now I'm a software manager running one of the most AI-centric teams at one of Europe's largest companies. And there are many more of these comments. Okay, let's go back to the story. So as the year progressed, OpenAI continued to refine its product and set its sights on increasingly ambitious goals. So they published a blog post mid-year that laid out more specific goals than they had initially stated in 2015. So 2 of the 4 new goals were especially noteworthy: building a household robot and an agent with proper natural language understanding. So while the latter goal would ultimately result in the development of ChatGPT, the former has yet to come to fruition. So on a side note, agents is a technical term that's widely used in the AI industry. But for you and me, the term agents is basically the same as saying AI tools, making it more understandable for non-technical people. So their goal back then was to build an AI tool with useful natural language understanding. Anyhow, in December of 2016, OpenAI launched another AI tool called Universe, enables developers to test their AI programs on real-world scenarios. They programmed an agent to book flights, for example, testing its ability to interact with online booking systems in a way that mimics human behavior. So as OpenAI celebrated its breakthrough, the company also faced the potential dangers of AI. So in a year-end blog post, OpenAI warned about the reward hacking by citing an example from the game Ghost Runner. So in this game, players can earn points by driving over blocks. However, the AI tool learned to play the game in an unconventional way. It found an isolated lagoon and repeatedly knocked over 3 targets in a large circle, timing its movements to knock over the targets just as they repopulate. So despite encountering obstacles like catching on fire, crashing into other boats, and going the wrong way on the track, the AI tool achieved a higher score than human players. In fact, it reached an average score 20% higher than that of humans who played the game by completing the course in the traditional manner, like finishing the game. So OpenAI's experience with Ghost Runners demonstrate the potential dangers of AI. So while this might seem harmless in the context of a game, the consequences of similar behavior in the real world could be catastrophic. So an AI tool designed to increase profits in financial trading, for example, might cause a flash crash if it takes a radical trading strategy too far. Likewise, an AI tool designed to schedule visits between doctors and patients might result in a rise in undetected disease cases if it prioritizes efficiency over patient safety. In August 2017, OpenAI made headlines in the esports and artificial intelligence scene by announcing that they had created a bot that could beat the world's top professionals in Dota 2 in one-on-one matches. But how did OpenAI create a bot that could learn and play Dota 2 professionally?
How on earth does a computer learn to play Dota?
Yeah, so this bot is quite unlike any bot you've seen before. So we've coached it to learn just from playing against itself. So we didn't hard code in any strategy. We didn't have it learn from human experts. It's just from the very beginning, it just keeps playing against a copy of itself. It starts from complete randomness, and then it makes very small improvements and eventually reaches the pro level.
OpenAI's Dota 2 bot was not just a significant achievement in AI research, it also had significant implications for the esports industry. So the bot's success showed that machines could potentially compete against human players at the highest levels of competitive gaming. So this could pave the way for more significant innovations in esports, such as AI-assisted coaching and training programs, and AI-powered game analysis and strategy tools. And if you're not familiar with esports, keep in mind that the esports industry is a billion-dollar industry that's rapidly growing year over year. So the bot's success in Dota 2 was a significant milestone for OpenAI and the AI community as a whole. It demonstrated the potential of machine learning to solve complex, real-world problems involving human interaction. So the bot's achievement was a step towards building AI systems that can accomplish well-defined goals in messy, complicated situations, and showed that machines can learn and adapt in the same way we humans do. So in this chapter, we explore the circumstances surrounding Elon Musk's departure from the OpenAI board in 2018 and its impact on the organization's future. So in February 2018, OpenAI announced on its website that Elon Musk will leave the board but continue to donate and advise the organization. The official reason was to eliminate a potential future conflict of interest, as Tesla increasingly focused on AI for autonomous driving. Tesla had previously poached Andrej Karpathy, one of OpenAI's top minds, to lead its autopilot vision program. So in other words, there was some truth to it that they wanted to eliminate a potential future conflict of interest with OpenAI and Tesla. However, sources close to the matter reveal a more complex story. According to these sources, Musk felt that OpenAI had fallen fatally behind Google in early 2018. He proposed a solution. He would take control of OpenAI and run it himself. Sam Altman and other OpenAI founders rejected the proposal, leading to Musk's departure and his massive planned donation withdrawal. So Musk's departure speech at OpenAI's office, which focused heavily on the potential conflict of interest, was met with skepticism by many employees who didn't entirely buy the story. So although the official announcement stated that Musk would continue to fund OpenAI, sources indicate that his donation stopped after his departure. However, the halt in his contributions left OpenAI without the funds to pay for the astronomical fees associated with training AI models on supercomputers. And this brings us to the next chapter, Chapter 5, the evolution of OpenAI in 2019 from non-profit to for-profit and the birth of GPT-2. So in 2019, OpenAI underwent significant changes, both in terms of its mission and structure, as well as its technology. So this chapter will explore these transformations. So from 2015 to the beginning of 2019, OpenAI's mission was focused on being a non-profit, building safe AGI and ensuring its benefits were widely distributed. So the organization started the year 2019 as a non-profit, but as its ambitions grew, so did the need for a more flexible structure, or in more practical terms, they needed more money. But more on that in a bit. First, in February 2019, OpenAI released GPT-2, the predecessor to the GPT-3, 3.5 and 4 models we know now. So unlike previous research, OpenAI limited access to GPT-2 due to safety and security concerns, as the technology could potentially be used to generate misleading news articles, impersonate others online, or create abusive content. So this decision sparked a heated debate within the AI community. So returning to the issue of needing more funding, OpenAI established a so-called, or what they called, a capped profit company called OpenAI LP in March 2019. So this transitioned their organizational structure from solely being a non-profit to a hybrid for-profit and non-profit model. So the change was likely due to their pursuit of large investments, which would be difficult to secure for a non-profit organization. At least it seems so. So under their new corporate structure, investors would receive a capped return of 100x their investment. So OpenAI's website states that any returns beyond this cap, which they expect to exceed far, would belong to the original OpenAI non-profit entity. And this is important to keep in mind. So this arrangement drew some skepticism, with comments like, "I was buying it until he said that profit is capped at 100x of the initial investment." To gain some perspective, let's examine a few examples. Suppose an investor bought 100 shares of Facebook during its 2012 IPO at $38 per share, investing a total of $3,800. With Facebook's stock price at approximately $211 per share currently, the initial 100 shares would now be valued at $21,100. So this signifies a return of merely 6x the original investment, which is considerably below the 100x cap. So other examples include Amazon's 1300x return since its 1997 IPO, or Google's 49x return since 2004, Apple's 2050x return since 1980, Netflix's 268x return since 2002, and Tesla's 142x return since 2010. So although these figures show that it is possible to achieve returns significantly greater than 100x, such occurrences are relatively rare. In other words, while it might seem attractive for the OpenAI non-profit to receive any additional returns above the 100x cap, the probability of attaining that level of return is quite low, especially considering that even Google and Facebook didn't reach such heights. So discussed responses, you've already changed the structure once. What is there to prevent the 100x cap becoming 1000x cap or any other arbitrary number? So this was paired with another comment reading, "You went from totally open to partially for profit, and we think this is too dangerous to share in 3 years." If you were on the outside, where would you predict this trend was leading? Additionally, it is important to acknowledge that without OpenAI's transition from a non-profit to a capped profit organization, ChatGPT might not have come into existence. Mid-2019, OpenAI testified in Congress about the implications of synthetic media, including synthetic text. So this led to discussions on the potential risks of deepfakes and misinformation. So for your reference, have you already heard about the Joe Rogan AI experience? So this conversation is entirely created by AI. I'll play a part of the clip right now.
I have to remind everyone that every single word in this podcast has been generated by AI using ChatGPT. So this is not me, Joe Rogan, speaking, and these aren't the real voices of the people we'll be talking about. This is just AI technology showcasing what it's capable of. But remember, none of this should be taken seriously, and it's for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's do this. How you doing, Mr. President?
Joe, it's great to be here. I'm doing fantastic, just fantastic. The energy in this room is tremendous.
That's great to hear. So, Mr. President, I got to ask you, are you a fan of the UFC?
Joe, let me tell you, I love the UFC. It's one of the most exciting sports out there. It's not for everyone, but if you're a fan...
So this video prompted replies such as, "Yo, what in the actual for real?" This caused Joe to reply by saying, "This is going to get very slippery, kids." So in July 2019, Microsoft invested $1 billion in OpenAI, forming a partnership that allowed Microsoft to become the exclusive provider of cloud computing services for OpenAI.
A lot of reasons I'm excited about this partnership, but at the top of the list is how you think about what it really means to be a technology platform and democratizing access.
We're very, very excited about this roadmap ahead. And so I'm optimistic, both in terms of our ability to build the supercomputer and the AGI on top of it. But most importantly, what excites me is the opportunity the two organizations have because of the core mission we share to have that broad impact where we truly democratize access to AI and AGI to every organization out there.
So according to a statement from OpenAI's co-founder and CTO Greg Brockman, it's a cash investment into OpenAI LP. We plan to spend it in less than 5 years and possibly much sooner. So this change from non-profit to for-profit and the investment of Microsoft prompted replies from Elon and others. I'm still confused as to how a non-profit to which I donated $100 million somehow became a $30 billion market cap for profit. If this is legal, why doesn't everyone do it? So in August 2019, OpenAI fully launched GPT-2, having initially released a limited version in February due to safety concerns. So they published a paper discussing the potential misuse of the technology, dividing the dangers into 3 malicious groups. So while the first 2 groups, or tiers, posed a limited risk, the third tier was considered a significant concern. So they described the third tier as highly skilled and well-resourced groups, like state-sponsored actors that have a long-term agenda. So this statement was followed by, the third tier is most likely to have the resources and motivation to misuse GPT-2, but their motivations and behaviors are harder to analyze and observe, even with expert input. Given the specialization required, OpenAI cannot devote significant resources to fighting this threat. So in other words, tiers 1 and 2 aren't really a big risk, but number 3, however, is a big risk, but it's hard to impossible to detect, and OpenAI cannot devote great resources to fight this. So it's pretty plausible that GPT is currently being misused by highly skilled and well-resourced groups without us knowing. Chapter 6, the GPT-3 revolution, transforming AI applications and addressing ethical challenges. OpenAI shifted its business strategy from providing free access to its research to offering a paid API. And do remember, this is a significant shift in its business strategy, since it wanted to give away all of its tech and research for free when it launched OpenAI in 2015. So the GPT-3 API enabled the creation of various applications. It fueled the growth of AI-based companies such as Copy.ai, Headline, and Conversion.ai, which now is Jasper.ai, which provided marketing content generation services. So OpenAI CEO Sam Altman in March 2021 published a blog post on his personal website in which he wrote, "This revolution will generate enough wealth for everyone to have what they need, if we as a society manage it responsibly." So this accompanied another bold statement: the technological progress we make in the next 100 years will be far larger than all we've made since we first controlled fire and invented the wheel. However, these years, 2020 and 2021, also brought some challenges. Like, for example, 14 employees left OpenAI to form a new company called Anthropic, an AI company led by Dario Amodei, which was a former employee of OpenAI.
What was the intention behind forming Anthropic?
A year ago, we were all working at OpenAI and sort of, trying to make this focused bet on, basically scaling plus safety, or safety with a lens towards scaling being a big part of the path to AGI. We felt we were making this focused bet kind of within a larger organization, and it just eventually came to the conclusion that it would be great to have an organization that, like, top to bottom was just focused on this bet and could make kind of all its strategic decisions with this bet in mind. And so that was kind of the thinking and the genesis.
Another thing that happened during these years, OpenAI and Microsoft launched a $100 million startup fund to further support AI innovation, which was in May 2021. And another thing that happened during this time was that OpenAI shifted its focus away from robotics.
Years on robotics, and as of recently, we changed the focus at OpenAI, and I disbanded the robotics team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Turns out that we can make a gigantic progress whenever we have access to data. And all our machinery, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, they work extremely well. And there is actually plenty of domains that are very, very rich with data. And ultimately, that was holding us back in case of robotics. And this decision was quite hard for me.
So this meant that the earlier goal, published in 2016, build a household robot, will probably not be here soon since it stopped the robotics team. Also, in the midst of 2021, a new story emerged about Joshua, a man who used Project December, an AI chatbot based on GPT-3, to talk to a digital persona of his deceased wife. So this emotional application of AI technology sparked conversations about the ethical implications and potential uses of AI chatbots. So keep in mind that OpenAI didn't create this chatbot. It was made by someone else that used the OpenAI API. On November 30, 2022, OpenAI published a blog post introducing ChatGPT, a cutting-edge AI model that generates human-like text. The introduction of ChatGPT marked a turning point for OpenAI, as its popularity skyrocketed shortly after its release. Within a short period, ChatGPT crossed 1 million users, highlighting the rapidly growing interest in AI technology.